and welcome to Nothing to Wear. Now, today we're talking about Depop. Do you know what Depop is? It's not a band, it's not a drink, it is a platform to buy and sell fashion. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. I've got an expert here to explain everything.
You have to do it. You live for fashion.
Kara, firstly, let's start with some general questions before we get into all things Depop. Can you describe your style in 3 words?
My personal style, this is kind of tricky because I don't think I'm super extra, but I do love colorful things. And obviously, I wear a lot of vintage. Most of my clothes are pre-loved or things that small designers have made. Love a little splash of leopard print, bit of sporty, usually comfy shoes. So whatever I'm feeling really on the day. But yeah, majority vintage, and I'd definitely say quite colorful compared to majority of people that are loving beige and khaki at the moment.
Which is pretty much me, though I'm trying to experiment. And they say that you wear 10% of your wardrobe 90% of the time. So the stuff you reach for over and over and over. I wonder if that's true for you because your wardrobe's so unique. But what's your most reached for items?
My wardrobe is really high rotation. So I have a tiny wardrobe. I live in a small apartment, but we have a shop and I've got a lot of like vintage stock at my grandma's house. So I tend to change what's in my wardrobe a lot. If I haven't reached for it in 6 months, it's gone.
Yes.
And I replace it with something exciting. And I buy so much every week, which sounds like my worst nightmare because I hate overconsumption and stuff like that. But when it's vintage, you don't have the guilt.
No. And also it's your job. So then you can move it on and it's just a flowing. Yeah.
If it doesn't get worn, people are always picking stuff up in the shop and I'm saying, oh, that was for my wardrobe. It didn't fit me right, but it's amazing. So yeah, I try and keep it very circular, this wardrobe.
Yeah, very fluid and flowing. That's the goal. Well, then let's jump in because that's what you're great at. We're talking all things Depop. So let's set the scene for people that have never heard or used Depop before. They might feel intimidated by it. They might not even know what it is. So what is Depop? How does it work? Tell us all things.
So Depop is basically an app that's a super simple, like an eBay when it first started kind of thing, where you can list your old pieces that you don't wear anymore. But it's very specifically in Australia, clothing, accessories, shoes, and stuff like that. And it's kind of like an Instagram that you can just scroll through and find pieces that you love that someone else has bought that didn't fit or whatever. And it's kind of just a simplified eBay.
That is a really good way to put it. And how does it differ? I mean, you've mentioned eBay there, but your Gumtrees, your Etsy's, or my favorite thing to scroll before bed because it's just so erratic and random, Facebook Marketplace. How does it differ or why do you prefer it?
There's 2 kind of sides of Depop. So I'm a reseller. So I'm like specifically doing photo shoots for Depop and buying for Depop and kind of curating product that I think my customers are going to like. Whereas there's a lot of people on there that are just selling their old wardrobes, which is also great. So it's like a bit of a garage sale kind of vibe, but it's a lot easier to use because there are those kind of curated things, so it's inspiring and it kind of shows you things that you may like, and it's a little bit more directed at fashion. Whereas Facebook Marketplace, you're going to find old grandma selling Anko, whereas you're not really going to get that on Depop, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and my Facebook Marketplace feed, I mean, it knows me because I've clicked on weird things, but sometimes I've looked at furniture and then I don't want furniture anymore, but it's all furniture. It's just almost too broad, but you're right. When I've gone onto Depop, the fashion knows me, so it's clever. And you're one of the top Depop sellers in Australia. So before we get into your tips, let's talk about your journey to being here and selling. How did you get here and what do you sell?
It's vintage dead stock, which is a lot of people don't understand, so I'll kind of quickly explain that. It's actually old stock that's never been worn. So it's still brand new.
Oh, wow.
And it still has the original tags, and we kind of find like old companies or old warehouses that have got this stock that hasn't been touched. So we've really like been lucky and specialized in that. We sell sunglasses and with clothing, anything from like accessories like scarves to jackets, dresses, formal dresses, and everything in between.
Yeah, it's curated. It's kind of like the version of going to the shopping center and go to your favorite shop because you know that's your style and your aesthetic and your whole vibe.
Exactly.
Talk to me about listing stuff. So how important are photos, descriptions, and pricing? Do you have any specific tips that makes lists stand out that actually sells if our listeners were thinking of perhaps listing some things that they no longer wear?
I'd say just make sure that you've got good lighting so you can see the detail. You know, you've written the brand, the size, all of that, the condition. But the photo is important. You kind of just want it to be a simple, clear background with good lighting. It can be on a hanger.
Do you think people prefer it on a body, or how do you shoot yours, and what do you think sells best when it's an item of clothing?
For us, we definitely do body because I think it's really important, like as a business, if you want to grow, because you're just going to get asked to see it on a body. But if you're selling something that's like branded, or you're selling something that's kind of very current and in store that you've purchased, you could definitely just do it on a hanger because I think people kind of know what that brand sells or what the fit's like if it's a popular item. I'd say it's not essential. No
Okay.
way. You could just post it.
And when you say photo, is there a gallery of images on Depop, or is it just like one photo?
I guess the best way to think of Depop is like an Instagram but for selling your clothes.
Okay, so the best one's at the front. You really
Yeah.
want it to be eye-catching.
Each item is a post. So we try and post once a day, like one new item every day. But if you have, cleared out your wardrobe and you have 30 things that you want to sell, definitely just upload them all and be as descriptive as possible, because if people are looking for, let's say, a specific Breckenridge dress, they've tried it on in store, they want to find it on Depop, search it up, you never know.
Yeah.
You might get it in your size for half the price.
Yeah, so if you know the style name, include as much as possible.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Take the description from the brand's website.
Yes. Pricing. How do we know what to price things at? I mean, it's a bit different for you because things are quite unique, but I've seen similar items on there, or the same item, and someone is selling it for an absolute bargain, and then, in my opinion, expecting way too much. So how can people gauge what kind of pricing is reasonable?
I would say depends how quickly you want to sell it. If you don't mind holding on to it for the next 6 months, I've had items on here for 2 years, but I don't mind because I store it all at my grandma's house. Lucky for me. And it doesn't matter if it sits there for a while. So it's like I'm not kind of trying to chase that quick sale.
Sure.
Whereas if you want a quick sale, make it cheap and be happy that you got something for it.
Mm-hmm.
Better than donating it, I guess.
Sure. Okay.
And also depends on the condition. So like if it's in pretty crappy condition, you'd be happy to get not much for it. If you've taken really good care of it, or if it's a really high demand item that's like sold out on the brand's website, then you can obviously ask more for it. But just have a look, I guess, what the marketplace is like and search it up before you list it.
Okay. So do as much of your own research as you can.
Yeah, let's say you're selling that Breckenridge bridesmaid dress that you're never going to wear again. See what those kind of dresses are going for.
Okay.
And then if you want to sell yours faster, make it $10 cheaper than everyone else's.
Smart. And do people bargain on there? Because you can send messages, right? Can you send offers? How does that work? Say I've seen this Breckenridge dress and it's $100, but I really only want to spend $80. Can I make an offer or send a message to negotiate, or is that not really done?
You can definitely offer. Depop kind of gives you like recommended offers. Like,
okay.
Do you want to ask for 10% off? Do you want to ask for 15% off? And then you can kind of gauge how badly you want it, because it has happened to me that I've offered and then someone else has snapped it up. So
Sure.
I guess just depends how bad you want it.
Yeah, it's kind of like an auction in a way. What about, specific ways to list? Like, is there keywords? Does it use sort of SEO and algorithm?
It does feel like it is a bit AI in the sense that, like, if you're looking up a pair of sunglasses, it will show you similar sunglasses. Also, I think if you're looking for something, this is just vintage in general. If you're actually, instead of just buying like that pre-loved Breckenridge dress, for example, I don't know why I keep...
That's a good example to keep running with.
I feel like people are always like wearing that kind of thing once and trying to get rid of it. So if you're looking for something more special, I guess, so for me, I find vintage shoes like incredibly difficult to find. And I find shoes in general really hard to buy because I want something cool and good quality, and I just don't really feel like it's out there. So whenever I go on Depop and look for my size of shoe, it's really rare that I find something. But if I go on for the next, couple days every now and then, it'll kind of know that I'm looking for cool shoes, and it will like show me new cool shoes that are listed.
So the algorithm kind of learns you and follows you in terms of like, their cookies or whatever those things are. And you'll be served similar things to search as you've looked for.
Exactly. With like vintage shopping as well, you like if you want something special, you can't be super specific. Like I can't say I have a wedding, I need green shoes in a 38 with an open toe and a platform.
Yes.
It's kind of like I just want to see all the vintage shoes that are available in Australia in a size 38.
Yep.
And then work with that.
Okay, cool. Yep. No, it makes sense. It's not like going online to the Iconic. You can't really filter by size and colour and then hope that there's a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
Is it important to follow people? Obviously, I want to follow your shop, or, my friend Mary's selling all her stuff. I'll follow her. But if I just jump on and I don't follow any accounts, can I just search Country Road bag, Beckenbridge dress, and I'll just see a whole bunch of stuff?
Exactly. Vintage sunglasses. I'm looking for like a leopard print coat. And if you type in leopard print coat, it's going to show you leopard print coats. And then from there, you can find sellers that you like because you can see their page and it's curated. So, for example, if someone's looking up low-waisted jeans and we pop up, they might see our page and go, oh, I like this page's style. This is my aesthetic, and then find more things on our page. So it's kind of like, I guess it's fun because you're looking around and you're shopping this marketplace like you would at a market store.
Yeah, I love that. But you can be in your PJs scrolling in bed, or, the baby's having a nap. I love that. Now, was there a point in your journey when you were selling, and how did you start out in terms of when did you and your cousin get to the point going, wow, this could be a real business? Or was that always the goal?
So I personally started with, I've been a fashion designer for many, many years, and always having really been inspired by vintage shapes, buying vintage and kind of using that in the design process. And I started my own brand by like making prints that were inspired by vintage. And we started doing glebe markets, and the vintage kind of took over in the sense that people were more inclined to pick up the vintage piece because it was a better price point for the market.
Right.
The vintage rail just kind of grew and grew and grew until my label was online and not at markets anymore because it was just too hard. But Depop is great for us because it kind of allows people from all over Australia and internationally to find us and buy from us.
Yes. Other sellers, is there any other sellers that you've seen that have made mistakes, or any mistakes you've seen, or ways people could improve to get the best out of their listings if they're selling something?
A really good photo with like lots of natural light, and then a very like as descriptive as you can be. So describe the colors, the fabric, the length, and the more specific you are, the more you'll come up in people's searches.
Okay, that's good. And then probably the less questions you'll get, which is a lot of admin to answer.
Totally.
A lot of back and forth. What's your take on the sustainability aspect of buying and selling secondhand? I mean, it's a no-brainer to me, but is that part of your ethos of your business?
150%. It's something that I feel really strongly about. I did work in fast fashion at one point of my life, and thinking back to that time and not realizing the damage that causes to the environment and also people, I would never go back there. And this is a really good way of keeping clothes circular and stopping them from ending up in landfills. And I think we all, as people that love fashion, have a responsibility because you can be really cool, you can be super stylish and have, like me, new clothes in your wardrobe every week without having to cost the earth.
Yeah, and more individual and more, I guess, quirky and creative.
Totally.
So if people are finding or looking to find good deals on Depop, we've talked about negotiating. Good to know from a buyer perspective that it's a done thing. What do you find is kind of like the average? Obviously, you've got your beautiful secondhand, thrifting, vintage vibe. And then what's the level? Like we mentioned Beckenbridge, is it sort of that kind of level? It's not your Chanel, but it's not your Anko.
I mean, I'm not saying there's not designer stuff on there, but it isn't like the super designer marketplace.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of people that have a really amazing designer archive collection have like their own website or
Mm-hmm.
I
Maybe
mean,
use Vestiaire Collective.
yeah. But even for us as sellers, like sometimes it's really hard to verify and show people that it's genuine. So like we've
Mm.
sold Dior sunglasses on Etsy and people are always like, oh, but are they real? It's like, well, yes, it has a certificate. It looks real. It feels real. I've bought it from a very reliable place, but it's kind of hard to prove to you.
Yeah.
Unless you're a big business that is very specifically, but I mean, even those big websites have been in trouble for selling things that are not real. So
I
I just,
know. Isn't it funny? Because scammers have almost done everyone a disservice because now everyone's so worried about being scammed. It's good that they're double, triple checking. But when you are selling an authentic item, particularly if in your case, sometimes it's vintage, so you don't have the receipt, but you know it's new, it can be hard to prove.
you know, I'd rather sell it in the store, touch and feel it,
Yeah.
see for themselves.
Okay, that's a really good tip in general. And I think, yeah, if you are searching for something that's a bit fancy, buying online, buyer beware, you might want to be able to go and touch and feel or make sure you're getting it through a reputable, luxury reseller.
I have come across like a lot of really fancy, newer designer pieces, and I've actually passed it to someone else to sell because I'm like, I just don't know that world.
Yes.
I don't want to dabble in it and get in trouble for doing something wrong. So I passed them over to a girl that I know and I said, have fun, sell these on eBay. I'm happy to get what I can get for them. And I'm sure all resellers went, oh my God, they're so cheap and bought them. But yeah, it's a whole nother world of reselling.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So there's
But-
definitely different categories. So last question before we get into Boujie and budget. A regular person like me at home has maybe 2 suitcases worth of things that I'd like to list. Do I do it all at once? Do I set aside a day and take a bunch of photos and upload it? And then how do I share that on my socials? How do I tell people about it if I'm just a regular old person trying to, do the right thing by the planet and clear the wardrobe?
My tips would be find a spot in your house that's got a white or very light wall, hang it up, steam it, iron it, make it look decent because you don't want to be showing people a brown paper bag that's been kind of chewed up or sat in a suitcase.
Yep.
I'd probably just nut it out in a day or take all the photos in one go and then slowly upload because the uploading and the descriptions you can kind of do when you're getting a petty.
Yes, so true. And I guess if you upload it all at once and everyone wants to buy all at once, then that's a lot of admin of sending.
Won't happen that quickly.
Oh, damn it.
Sorry. I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to sell out overnight.
Yeah, okay. Especially if you're starting.
Unless you're a big influencer who's posted it on your Instagram story and
Yes.
everyone wants a piece of you.
Yeah,
You might
okay.
be
So the algorithm's not that tricky, but it's worth, like you say, pop it up. You've taken the photos, you've made the listing, and then you can keep adding to it and keep that stuff in a safe place where you know when it sells, you can dig it out.
You've got nothing to lose.
Yes, I love it. Okay, we're going to end the episode with Boujie and budget. So I have a budget item that I bought off Depop that I'm very proud of, although it's not vintage, but it was something I was looking for. And then a Boujie item, something I'm considering that I want to get your opinion on. I'm going to start by telling you about my budget. It's a Country Road Crossbody bag that I recently bought because I had it in tan and I absolutely flogged it. And then I wanted it in a cream and I just hoped it came in cream. I Googled it. Sold out a year ago. And then I went on Depop and someone hadn't even used it. And it was, I think I paid $20 for it. And I don't have to justify why I love the bag, but it literally had the tag on it. And I thought, oh no, I'm never going to be able to get that bag again. Got it brand new for a quarter of the price in the color I wanted. So
Loving life.
Yeah, I'm just so happy with that. So that was my budget purchase. Tell me about your budget, either something you've bought or sold or loved.
There's something so satisfying about getting something that you've been thinking about but haven't bought when it's secondhand or pre-loved for a bargain.
Right?
It just gives you this rush of like, I am awesome.
Yes, I'm so good at this.
And that's why secondhand clothes are so addictive.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have serious FOMO if I see anyone op shopping or at a market and I'm not there. It's FOMO is, I'm not joking.
No, I get it.
I'm actually addicted and totally obsessed with buying secondhand clothes for that reason. Westfield, I'm like, meh, anyone can go there and buy anything. But when you get something special for a bargain, it's like
I agree.
this dopamine hit that you just can't explain.
It's so true.
So one of my favorite things that I bought was a total bargain. It was $35. And for those people that listen that are old enough, it's a Miss 60 maxi dress.
Oh, fab.
With a big, epic lace-up leather detail and like a really cool, crazy psychedelic print.
Yes.
And if anyone remembers, Miss 60 was the shit.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the creme de la creme, and you can definitely not find it in a Westfield. So I was really excited and happy that I have this dress now that no one else has.
And do you still have it, or have you moved it on yet?
I still have it. I'm waiting for it to fit me post-baby.
Okay, that's exciting. I know. I love that thrill. There's no thrill like a good thrift find.
It's the best.
Okay, Boujie. I'm going to run these past you. I think you're going to say no because they're still too expensive, but I'm obsessed with the Row. The Row is the Olsen Twins brand. It's very expensive, like outrageously expensive. And I also want a cream or white loafer for winter. I found a white loafer by the Row on Depop that's 300 New Zealand dollars. I don't really know exchange, but I think they're roughly, much of a muchness. $300. They've said they bought them off the Real. So that's third hand, but they look hardly worn.
Well, that doesn't matter.
I agree. I just want to make sure they're not counterfeit. But like we discussed before, I think $300, let's just pretend New Zealand, Australian the same. It's not that different. For the Row white loafers, all leather, I reckon that's a good deal. And like you said, I've searched on Depop for the Row and there's not a lot on there. I go on Vestiaire Collective, there's so much Row. So maybe not enough people are listing stuff on there, and that's why it's a bargain.
What do they usually sell for? Because when I see the Row, the boot's like $2,000.
Yeah, that's my point. Like their shoes are in the thousands.
Don't even think about it. Get them, because if they sell,
yes,
you're going to regret it forever.
And
you're not going to be able to find them for that price again. And leather shoes, the biggest investment.
Right? And my size. It's like, dresses and things can be altered if you need or worn oversized, but shoes have got to be the right size.
And if they're good quality shoes, you're getting a steal because you'll just live in them. And I'd say that is so much more sustainable than going on an Iconic or an ASOS and buying a pleather shoe that's going to last you 2 months.
I love you so much for approving this. One question, if I'm buying from New Zealand, anything I need to know, I've never bought overseas. I just buy it and they send it.
Just buy it.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm like so confident in the yes.
Okay, you're the best. I'm buying them.
You're going to wear them, get them.
I'm getting
them.
them.
At the end of the day, if you don't wear them,
the resell.
They've sat there for 2 months, put them back on Depop or put them up on eBay and you can add an extra $100.
You are genius. Now, okay, before I buy those, can you tell me about your Boujie? It doesn't have to be as fancy as the Row because I know your vibe is all sort of more vintage. What have you got for me?
This will also show you my age. But I have still not let go of this high school obsession with Wills and Dollbaby.
Oh, gosh, the hold that brand had on me.
Well, Wills and Dollbaby has always had a special place in my heart, and it's something that you can't buy anymore. So I'm always looking for Wills and Dollbaby because I just love collecting it.
Okay.
And it's all Australian made.
It was, wasn't it?
Cool and unique. And so whenever I find a little Wills and Dollbaby bargain online, I just have to get it.
Okay, I love it. Oh, well, if I find any on my searches, I'll send links your way.
If you have any in your suitcases that you're going to resell, make sure you message me before you list them.
When I find a weekend, I will message you. Kara, thank you so much for sharing all your inside tips. Obviously, we'll pop links in the show notes to all of your handles so people can go shop your delicious curations. But thank you for sharing your knowledge with us.
Thanks for having me.